Hey guys, it's Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at this knife. It's a knife from Fastech. Good sized blade, well over 3 inches, G10 two-tone. It's a decent knife. And just want to let you know, I've decided I'm not going to do cut tests in my videos anymore. I'm taking a lesson from Kevin Cleary. If you don't know Kevin Cleary, he's another fellow Canadian knife reviewer. He does better reviews than I do. He's been doing it longer than me. And he doesn't do very much budget knives like this one. This is well under $20 US. He does the more expensive knives, and I like watching his channel. He's got lots to contribute. And what he says makes sense. It cuts like a knife. Brian Adams would agree too. So cutting tests really don't describe very much. If you are relying on the factory edge, you really ought to stop it. Factory edges are very temporary. It's such a short life of the knife. I will tell you if the factory did a terrible job sharpening the knife, but I don't need to show you how well it cuts. And you need to learn how to sharpen your knives. You can start with the Lansky sharpening system, $30 US, $40 Canadian, whatever it is. I know of a professional knife maker for the first number of years after he was making his living. His sole income was from making custom knives. He used that little $30 Lansky sharpening system, and he was making his whole income that way. So you can sharpen your knives using something as low cost as that as well, or something more expensive, a Hapstone, a TS Prof. Maybe I'll be getting another sharpening system from Poland. I'm making some inquiries. Or get a work sharp system with a belt sharpening. Of course, it makes a convex edge, but it makes it very easy to sharpen your knives. $100 Canadian, you can get one of those. $70, $80 US. So there's all kinds of sharpening systems. Check out my channel. Just look for the sharpening playlist and you'll find all kinds of ways that you can sharpen your knives. Other ways of just doing it by hand with a sharpening rod. Do not depend on the factory edge. The factory edge will get dull if you use your knife. And you can't just always go buy a new knife. Well, you can, sure. But for the cost of 2 very economical knives, you can sharpen the rest of your knives for a long time and then just have to buy stones every once in a while. So do become good and proficient at sharpening your own knives. I challenge you. And if you just can't do that, send your knives to Jake. Jake will sharpen your knives. He'll put a mirror edge on most of them, unless you just want a working edge. And I'll sharpen up your knives, and you're going to love it. And it's going to be a fair price. But of course, in Canada, shipping's not that cheap. You'll have to pay for shipping. But generally speaking, learn to sharpen your knives. I really encourage you to do that. But this knife is what we're looking at today. Beautiful, beautiful knife. So stick around. It's coming at you right now. Very good action on this. Easy to actuate, either left hand or right. Cool spoon kind of shaped pocket clip. A lanyard hole back here with the liners coming out, the G10's removed. So that helps you add a lanyard without adding bulk to the end of the handle, which I like quite a lot. Two-tone colors here. It comes in 3 different color schemes. You can get the black and orange, black and brown, black and sand. This was sent to me by Fastech and at their cost. Thank you very much, Fastech. And I remain committed to giving a fully objective review here. EF here, so they list it as one of their EF knives. That's Eafengrow. But if you go on Fastech's website, if you go to their category search and you go down to knives, on the left-hand side, there's a column. And it's a long column with loads of options. If you scroll right down to the bottom, it's got a little section for brands. You expand that brands list, and then you'll scroll down to EF, and you'll be able to find all of the Eafengrow or EF knives in that list. This is the EF42, as I mentioned before. D2 steel, I think it's D2. I think they actually are using D2 or the Chinese equivalent of it. It's probably very similar, maybe just slightly off. I did get these little lines on here. You can sort of see on the, let's see if I'll zoom in a little bit here. There you go. That's my mistake. I scratched these lines into the side of the handle on this, on the side of the blade on this side. I forget exactly what I was doing, but it was something when I was measuring the angle. I slid something across there, unfortunately. But there's a little bit of residue of that black on the blade here. That's from how I test the angles. I use a Sharpie and I cover the cutting edge with Sharpie. And then I put a very high grit stone, like a 3000 grit stone. And, I adjust the angle of the stone and sliding it across the cutting edge until it starts wiping off, like acting like an eraser. And once it's wiping off evenly from the tip of the cut to the shoulder of the final grind here, then I know I've got the right angle. The sharpening of this blade is done very good at the factory for the most part. What they did a little bit poorly, this side's ground perfectly all the way across. This side's ground almost perfectly until this last quarter of an inch right here. There they went, and it's on a much greater angle. It's about 30 degrees right here, and by the time you get an inch down, it's at the proper, just over 20 degrees. So this last little bit here gets very steep. Let's see, if I hold it on this angle here, let me refocus everything here. So everything's at 20 degrees all the way down, but then you get close to this tip and it goes down to like about 30 degrees. I'm exaggerating just for effect right here. So what that means is when I go to sharpen this knife later on and I sharpen it at 20 degrees per side, there'll be a section here that doesn't get sharpened. I'll only be grinding the shoulder of the blade and not the cutting edge. And for me to get down to the cutting edge here, it's going to take away a fair bit of steel. So I'll just leave that basically sharpened on one side, on this side, until it's been sharpened so many times that, it's evened out. So it's unfortunate. That's just the way it's going to be. But thankfully, it's a really short stretch here, and it'll be sharpened on one side, so it'll still cut quite well. We've got a swedge here across the top of the blade, and one of these odd-shaped holes here. Some guys will be able to use that hole to make the knife flick out, from the bottom. They do that with their finger, like that. I can't do that. When I'm holding the knife with another hand, I can, but not just in one hand. I can get it to move out a little bit. Oh, hey, it worked that time. But I find it really hard to do that. And maybe I'm just getting better at it right now on TV. I mean, on the screen, on video. So there you go. Nice sharpener's choil here. Very good. The flipper tab is very adequate. It's slightly behind the pivot point, so you can use it for the light switch method, of course, pushing back. And if you want the push down method, you have to push backwards just a little bit, and that works very well. We've got, I'll show you the pictures of the inside of the knife right now so you can see. It's not skeletonized. There's, ball bearings in there, nylon cage with steel ball bearings, a nice steel detent. Lockup is rock solid. No blade play up and down, back and forth. Lockup point is very good. Maybe just a tiny bit later than I like it to be on a brand new knife. But it's got lots of room to wear over. Lots of time to, use this knife for a lot of years. There's just a slight chamfer on the release of the liner lock right there. So there you go. You can see that right there now. So when you get your thumb in there, it's really easy to move the lock arm across. No problem for that at all. They did a great job matching the lines right here with the G10. I'll give you a close. Oh, I just hit the camera there. I'll give you a close-up shot of that. And then these screws here, these two and this one are just body screws holding the G10 onto the liner. And then these two screws are for the open pillar. And you can see the hourglass shape posts right there, quite nice. And then the stone wash on the liners. Very good. Big stop pin right there. Beautiful, beautiful. Lots of really great things about this knife. It's a captured stop pin, a pivot pin, so it doesn't spin along. T10 on this screw, and these other screws are T6 screws. I wish these two body screws were T8s. I just don't like it when screws are too small, but they're made to fairly good tolerances. There's not a lot of play with the screw in those screw heads, so that's a good thing. Now, I really do like this pocket clip, just the way it's shaped and it works. It slides over the edge of the pants very well, holds on tight, and you can see right here how the G10 is milled. It's been milled down over here and it left full thickness right there. 2 screws to hold this on. Plenty. It holds on very well. You've got about 3/4 of an inch of the knife exposed out of the pocket. That's about 2 centimeters. Let's take a look at what that looks like. There we go. Here's my prop. And watch this. Just slides on very well. Holds on there. Not an awful lot sticking out of the pocket. Not bad at all. Looks quite good. And it gives you something easy to grab onto, especially with these 2 screws up there to pull it back out. I like that quite a lot. So we've got D2 steel, drop point, swedge, nice high saber grind here, so it's a high flat grind, not a full flat though, and no skeletonizing on the thing, on the knife, on the liners. Wow, the thing. Yeah, I'm a smart reviewer. This is the thing where the thing touches the other thing so that the thing does what you want the thing to do. Can you see how great this thing is? Okay, let's give you all the dimensions now. I'm just going to zoom in just a tiny bit here. We've got a cutting edge and blade length. So the cutting edge and the tip to the closest spot on the G10. That's how I measure blade length. Tip to the very first spot on the liners or handle anywhere. 2.72 centimeters, 3.43 inches. The blade thickness is 2.76 millimeters. That's 0.148 inches. The blade depth is 2.9 centimeters, 1.14 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind is 0.71 millimeters. That's 0.028 inches. A little thicker than I like. I'd rather have it to be at around 0.5 millimeter. So this is very thick. It's a very strong kind of edge. We've got a grind angle of 21.2 degrees on this side. Nope, on this side, it's 21.2 degrees, closer to 30 right there, as I mentioned. And on this side, it's 20.6. Very, very good for the most part, other than, that one little spot back here. Most knives aren't done as close to 20 degrees per side as this one, so that's a good thing. Handle length is 11.4 centimeters, 4.49 inches. The grip area in here is 9.5 centimeters, 3.75 inches. The handle thickness, not counting the pocket clip, is 1.6 centimeters. That's 0.63 of an inch. Some people might find that a little bit thick. Most people won't mind at all. The handle depth right here, it's 2.8 centimeters, 1.1 inch. With the knife closed, it's a little bit larger, 3.3, 1 centimeters, 1.3 inches. And the total length of this knife is 20.3 centimeters. I'll put it on the screen exactly what it is. It weighs 149 grams, 5¼ ounces. So people are concerned about weight. You'd want this thing to be skeletonized, but the fact that it's not skeletonized makes it that much easier to clean. So that's a good thing. I don't mind the weight at all, and most people probably don't mind the weight either. Beautiful stone wash, beautiful coloring. How much does this thing cost? $17.78 US from Fast Tech. That's a deal. That's a steal of a deal. That's the regular price. The US number stays the same, and the other currencies, since the currencies fluctuate, those numbers will change every couple days probably. So what do I think of this knife? Great action. I love that it's got a captured pivot. Very comfortable in hand. Beautiful look to it. Good color options. Easy to sharpen. Heavy duty setup, especially with this thicker behind the grind. Chamfered corners on the G10 here make it very comfortable in hand. Very nice. Cons, well, the blade being a little bit thicker behind the grind than I like. Some people don't mind that. It's not really that big of a deal. No skeletonization. Some people want it to be lighter. To me, it's no big deal. And the pocket clip, some people want it to be a deep carry pocket clip. And some of us don't mind. It's all about your preferences. I just like to describe what we have. The way it's built is done quite well. It's obvious that their manufacturing, their standards at the factory where these knives are made is quite high, especially matching the G10. That's not that easy to do, and so that's a really good thing. And yeah, good knife. If you're in the market for one of these knives, please check out my links. I've got links down below for Fast Tech. They do give me a commission if you use those links, so that's a way you can support the channel. If you want to buy it from them, please do use those links of mine to say thank you to me. So there you go. What do you think of this knife? Would you get one? Will you get one? Hopefully you liked the video. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, even if you don't particularly like the knife. Thanks for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. If you subscribe, please hit that bell to be notified of every video. And remember, guys, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.